Coverage of the Rolex 24 at Daytona on David Land is brought to you today by Race 92 Racewear. Check out our 24-hour collection on the David Land tab. Link is in the description below.
Well, that was certainly interesting. An interesting day here. The inaugural Motul 100 qualifying race, and I'm just going to hope that this is in focus. I'm kind of doing it solo here on Sunday at the Roar before the 24. So it was a mixed condition race. It started in the wet, it went to the dry. We saw some attempts at strategy, but the way the IMSA rules work and the wave arounds, some of the strategy, let's say, was better than others. And just a little bit of a rant here. If your involvement or your idea of a more exciting race means either inducing cautions or making cautions longer, I hate to break it to you, your idea is probably not entertaining. But so Chase Elliott's car is on the pole. I guess those of you who are the NASCAR kind of, I guess we'll call you lovingly bandwagoners for this race. That's important. Obviously, Chase was not in the car today because of the rules that required that if you were a full season car, which the number 31 Wheel and Engineering Cadillac is, you can't run your special drivers. Nor do I think they would want to have done that, even though the Ally Bank Action Express car did run Jimmy Johnson. I think that was more of an attempt to kind of get him back up to speed. As I've kind of said, or I said in yesterday's video, it seems like Chase Elliott's much more up to speed in this car, or has taken to it a lot quicker than Jimmy Johnson. So Jimmy needed the laps. He got them today. He got them in very difficult conditions in the wet. We also saw Chip Ganassi Racing look like they were really on target early on. Again, made a bad strategy call and really fell out of the contention. But I think they'll be right there in the 24. And, you know, there are no sponsors on that Cadillac, and it certainly seems like a GM-funded effort, to say the least. So it seems like General Motors is getting their money's worth with Chip Ganassi Racing. Certainly in this race, of course, Chip Ganassi has so much success here that it would make so much sense. The other thing is that the Acuras suddenly started to show a little bit of pace. You saw, so starting in fourth is, like I said last night, by the way, Meyer Shank Racing. I really do think that's a strong car-team combination, and I think they could surprise. Do I think they will win? No, it looks like right now the toughest challenge to the Cadillac kind of dominance at Daytona is the Mazda in DPI. But again, the Mazda only has one bullet in the gun this year. They don't have a second car, and their reliability, while it's much better than it has been in previous years, that car still hasn't proven to me that it can maintain the pace it needs to win this race for 24 hours. Yes, they finished second last year, but again, you had two cars last year. You just got one shot, and those are just not good odds in a field as strong as this one in DPI. LMP2 is actually fantastic. I don't know why it was so good, but and I will 100% admit my bias for the Celtilar Racing Dallara, but something I really like to see is variety in racing, different chassis, different engines, different combinations, different choices. So when a team makes a different choice, like the Celtilar Racing with the Dallara, and they actually, get rewarded for that, it's great. Now, of course, it's the last race for that car and that team, and who knows what will happen with the Dallara going forward in LMP2. But at the very least, it looks like that car is very well suited to this track. Now, they didn't end up finishing very well. For whatever reason, they had to make an extra pit stop, and that cost them, but they were racing for the lead. The number 52 Wins car took the pole position. That's an Orica, of course. And that is also a car driven by Ben Keating. Now, if you'll remember last year, we talked a lot about Ben Keating because he was doing a double duty race with another GT car. That's the same thing that's happening here. Ben Keating's not only racing that Orica LMP2 car, he's also racing one of the Aston Martins, the Rain-X bright yellow car. You can't miss it. You can see it all the way around the track in GTD. GTLM. We have Corvette Racing in a front row lockout, and kind of the surprise in third was the WeatherTech Porsche, the privately entered GTLM car. So that was one that I questioned, are they going to be able to maintain a strong pace? Well, it looks like they've at least got the strategy down because they were able to get around the BMWs, to get around the Risi Ferrari. But again, a 24-hour deal. you got to think that the BMWs are the favorite right now, but certainly I think it's a toss-up between Corvette and BMW at this point. I mean, again, Corvette came so strong on at the end of the year last year, or really the end of the year, I mean post-Daytona. It would be hard to pick against them as well. GTLM probably going to go down to the last hour, probably going to go down to the last minute, let's be fair. Turner Motorsports on pole for BMW, but alas in GTD. Of course, that's Chungo Mungo's car, Big Chungus, Colton Herta's car, for those of you keeping score at home. And don't let him get a big ego about that. Of course, he wasn't one of the full-time drivers, so he wasn't in today. But Bill Arberlin was one of those drivers, and of course, I think Bill Arberlin's in his 400th start for BMW or something like that. It's some crazy number. But GTD was interesting. And it looks like it'll be a good race. Again, GTD is kind of like throw a coin up and pick 5 or 6 cars, and you probably get pretty close to whoever's gonna win that particular class. I've been beating around the bush, haven't I? I have to talk about LMP3. So a lot of our fears were confirmed. There were a lot of cars that didn't even participate. Some cars just completely sat out. The 74 Ranch Resort was one of those cars. Didn't even take the start. Several cars ended up pulling off kind of after starting the race. And those cars that did remain, a lot of them ended up causing full course yellows, spinning off, even cars going off under the caution flag. Now, certainly those were very trying conditions with the wet, dry, damp track. But LMP3 does seem to be a bit of a lolcow right now, so that's, and it's unfortunate, but I think the adage about them potentially being, the equal number of cars than LMP3 may equal or be greater than the number of full course cautions, that seems to be where we're headed, and it is what it is with LMP3. I'll put it this way, the race will at least be entertaining, and I don't think many of the leaders will get away from each other very easily because of the fact that we're actually going to have cautions that will bunch up the field. It's definitely nice to see a lot of cars here running. How do I feel about a qualifying race for the Rolex 24? I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on it. I think I'll have a much more solid opinion later on in the week. Is the drama of the event kind of hurt by the fact that we already know what's happening in qualifying because we really don't have anything kind of building up to the race except for just practice? Or does this help with the hype because we know that we know what cars are kind of fast? We already have cars in each class that have won races. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. It's I will be interested to read in the comments what you guys thought of this particular race, this particular format, because I think there will be mixed feelings on it. I don't think it was a home run by any stretch of the imagination. So that is the end of the Roar before the 24. When you see me at this track next, of course I'll have some videos in between, we will be leading up to the Rolex 24 at Daytona itself. So be sure to subscribe for more motorsport content. Thanks to all the Patreon supporters for helping me be here because it's definitely difficult to cover an event from the stands when you don't have a media pass. But that's kind of what we've come to expect here in 2020, and we'll just keep pressing on. And I know, I said 2020, it's now 2021. 2021 is the result of the decisions made in 2020. We'll put it that way. We'll see you guys in the next video.